Salams and welcome to another episode of the Quran. Wow, the words of wisdom. We're looking today at Surah 57 with its chapter Hadith, which is known as the Ayan, and we're looking at today at the verses to do with Taqdeer or the divine writ, also known as fate or destiny. And we're looking at this from the Quran, which is a glorious book, and the Quran, which is a clear book. And we're filling our brain with knowledge from the Quran, so thereby we can have a clear, rational brain, and we remove superstition, we remove darkness from our light. Please, I'm sending you my heart. Please send me your heart. This has got nothing to do with romance. I'm sending you my heart because you are a human being. And just to remind ourselves that we have been created with a body made from the soil of the earth, and a soul, a spiritual soul from the transcendental dimension has been put in our body. That means if you take an X-ray machine, you can X-ray the body, but you cannot X-ray the soul. You can find the body, you cannot find the soul. You can see everything on earth which is known as matter, but you'll never be able to find any machine on the face of the world, on the face of the earth, that can find God, or can find the angels, or can find anything in the transcendental dimensions. So in the earth, we have the body and soul together. The soul is that part of your brain which is the driver. Think of your body as the motor car, and the soul is the driver of your motor car. The soul makes a decision. I want to go left, I want to go right, because the soul has got the free will. But because of that free will, the soul will be held accountable. The soul decides, do I want coffee today or do I want tea today? Do I want to do good in this world or do I want to do evil in this world? Do I want to do anything that I want to do? And because of this free will, some people develop arrogance. And the Quran is reminding us that everything that you do, it is a gift from the Creator, and there is some things that is totally out of your control, and that is known as your divine writ or your destiny that has been written for you. Right. So let's look at Surah Hadith with chapter number 57, and we're looking at verses number 22 to 24. I'll just try and bring this a bit closer so we can have a look at that. Right. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. No affliction befalls in the earth or in your own selves, which we have recorded in a book before bringing it into being. This means that the destiny has been pre-written, and in some ahadith we know that the destiny of people have been written 50,000 years before the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the heavens and the earth have been created 13.8 billion years ago, so 50,000 years before that. And this is an easy thing for God, the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is done. The reason for the destiny is done so that you are not disheartened. You don't become sad over what you may lose, nor do you become exalted. You don't start boasting over what God most merciful, what Allah has given you. That means the things that you've achieved in life, must remember, yes, you're going to strive. If you want that gold medal in the Olympics, yes, you're going to have to put in the hard work. You have to eat the right food. You got to do the right training. You got to have a lot of money. You got to have the correct coaches in sports to teach you and to train you. You got to put in the hours to achieve any success. But when you get that gold medal, remember, this was part of the destiny that was written for you. The Creator wanted to give this to you as a gift. So don't. Now, some people make the mistake. They start kissing themselves. Oh, I did it. It's my efforts. Only I did it. Once you do that, once you become arrogant and boastful and you deny the Creator, that's when you start looking for problems, and that's when the arrogance takes over your soul, mind, body, heart, and soul. And the Quran makes it very clear that God, most merciful, the Creator Supreme, does not love those who are arrogant and boastful, who are themselves stingy, and also urge others to be stingy. Now, whosoever turns away should know that God, most merciful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is all-sufficient, and He is the one who is praiseworthy. Right? So some very, very thought-provoking verses here. I'll just leave this here for a few minutes. I won't be able to hold it long because of the difficulty in my hands, the weakness in my hands. But when we start at the beginning, when it says, no affliction befalls on the earth, it means that a book has been written. This is known as the writ of destiny, which is also known as the book of Taqdeer, which shows, it gives you a guarantee that everyone's destiny has been written. But this does not mean that you don't have a free will. And this is where many people make a mistake. They feel that, oh, if everything is written, then why must we do anything? And this is a wrong understanding of the destiny. The destiny, let me give you a simple example. If you want a coffee or tea, that That is your free will. That is your choice. Yes, God in His mercy will know at the end of the day what you have chosen. But let me give you an example of destiny. Have you chosen who you are? You haven't chosen your face. You did not decide whether you are a man or a woman. This is destiny. You did not decide your parents. This is destiny. You did not decide who is the mother who is going to give birth to you. That is your destiny. You did not decide in whose house you're going to be born. That is your destiny. You did not decide on your family. That is your destiny. You did not decide on the language or the country in which you are born. That is your destiny. You did not decide if you will be an American or a Russian or a Chinese or a South African. That is your destiny. You did not decide if you're going to be born into a poor home or a rich home. That is your destiny. But let us say if you are born poor. Now, this is where the free will comes in. You can now decide, you know what, I'm tired of being poor. I'm going to now become a criminal. That is your free choice. Another person will say, you know what, I will rather do the honest way. I will rather have an honest living. I will rather work hard, but I don't want to be a criminal. So that free choice, if you decide to become a criminal, that's not you have decided to become a criminal because you are tired of poverty, so that you're going to be held accountable. So the day when you die, God in His mercy will raise you up and ask you, why did you choose to become a criminal? It was your choice. You cannot then say that was written for you, because that is why there is a day of judgment. If everything was written, pre-written, if there's no, that means if there's no accountability, if there's no accountability, then there's no need for day of judgment. A day of judgment only occurs because every human being has got a free will. So the verse then says that man is given the good news that sometimes if you lose something, and God in His mercy tells us, we will test you in your life and in your livelihood, we will test you in loss of your business, you'll lose your wealth, you'll lose your health, you will lose people that you love, you will have various types of tests and trials, because this is a world of suffering, this is a world of tests and trials and tribulations. But don't get disheartened when something calamity hits you. That means God in His mercy is testing you, and God most merciful tests those whom He loves. So when you're going through a test, remember that God is polishing you, because you are a diamond and God is polishing the diamond inside you. Similarly, if you suddenly become very wealthy, your business starts flying and you start flying high, don't become arrogant and boastful to think it's your achievement. If you start scoring 10 goals, or you start becoming the world #1 runner, don't think it's your achievement, because your body has been given to you by your God, by the Creator Supreme. Your brain has been given to you by God. Everything that you have has been given to you by God. Even your intelligence has been given to you by God. But yes, you've got to make the effort. But at the end of the day, God in His mercy does not love those who are arrogant and boastful, because we need to always remember God in His mercy. We need to always remember, be God conscious, and give thanks to the Creator Supreme, who has given you this magnificent brain, this magnificent body. So in order to understand why it has been said about this affliction, one should keep in mind the conditions through which many Muslims were passing through at the time when the surah, when this chapter was revealed, when it was at the time where the Muslims were going through difficulty in Mecca and in Medina. An ever-present danger by the enemy. There were many battles in quick succession. Battle of Badr in the 2nd year of the Hijrah, Battle of Uhud in the 3rd year, Battle of Khandaq in the 5th year, and even after that, there was the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, the Battle of Khaybar, and so many other Hunain, and so many other ongoing struggles. There was a constant state of constant siege, hardships caused by economic boycott by the disbelievers. We remember the tragic events in Mecca, 3 years of economic, social, and various types of boycott to the Muslims. They were put to the outskirts of Mecca, into the mountainside. 3 years of great suffering, where the Prophet ﷺ, two big supporters, his beloved uncle Abu Talib passed away, and his magnificent beloved wife Khadija radiallahu anha, may Allah be pleased with her, Ameen, 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 she also passed away. So these two great pillars of support. So the Muslims went through great struggle just for saying the simple, just one word they were saying, just one phrase, there is only one God. Just by saying this, then the entire Meccan peninsula rose up against them to say, how dared you say that there is only one God? And the reality is that there is only one God. So the Prophet in his mercy was trying to tell the people that he loved, please don't have a wrong understanding of God. Please have a very clear understanding of God. God is one. He does not have a father. He does not have a mother. He does not have a son. He does not have a daughter. He does not have grandchildren. He does not have politicians. He does not have mayors and senators and members of parliament and royal advisors. He needs nobody. Everybody needs him. He is absolutely one. So please get that understanding very clear in your mind. The disbelievers looked upon these as a proof that the Muslims had been forsaken and rejected. As for the sincere Muslims, they were facing the oppression and the persecution very, very bravely and resolutely. So the Muslims during this difficult time were consoled by these verses to say, no affliction has fallen you without the knowledge of your Lord. That means if you're going through struggle, if you're going through an illness, you're going through some hardship, you don't have money on the table, you don't have food on the table, God, most merciful, the Creator Supreme, knows exactly what you are going through. He knows you are going through that. So think of Him. Open your prayer mat, open your musalla, put your head on the ground. When you put your forehead on the ground, that is known as a contact. That's a Wi-Fi contact, and that you're in constant direct communication with your Creator, and you start talking to your Creator. You don't need a priest, you don't need a Molana, you don't need a saint, you don't need nobody. You talk one-to-one with your Creator. You talk to Him, open up your heart to Him, and in that you will find the inner strength that you're looking for, and then the Sakina descends on you. So what does it mean where it says God most merciful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Creator Supreme, does not love those who are arrogant and boastful, who are themselves stingy and urge stinginess in others. This allusion is to the trait of character that everyone could experience among the hypocrites in the Muslim society itself in the early days within Medina itself. As regards the outward affirmation of faith, they could not be distinguished from the true Muslims, but owing to the lack of sincerity, it was easy to spot them, but some of the hypocrites were very, very difficult to support. They were just Muslims by namesake. Therefore, the little prosperity and leadership that they were enjoying in an ordinary town of Arabia was causing them to be swollen with pride. Abdullah ibn Ubay, the chief of the hypocrites, and others, so they thought that, that they were, because they had a little bit of wealth, they could trample other people and they could look down upon other people. When the Quran says help the poor, the widows, the orphans, they were very, very stingy. They say, why must we help these low-class people? If they are struggling, let them struggle. So they were very stingy. So even though they had a lot of wealth, and that is why poverty is a test, but wealth is also a test. In fact, wealth is the bigger test, because the more money people get, the more stingy they become, the more difficult it is for them to part with their money, because they say, I've worked hard for my money. Why must I let go of my money? And that's what the Quran says. These people are so stingy, and Allah does not love them at all. As for the stinginess, not only were they themselves unwilling to give away a penny in the cause of God, whom they professed to believe in, and the messenger whom they professed to follow, but they tried to prevent others also from giving so. And they would say, see other people being generous. These arrogant, haughty leaders of society, those wealthy, arrogant ones, were even preventing others. Say, how can you be so stupid? Why are you helping that widow? Why are you helping that orphan? Why are you helping those people? Why are you so stupid? No. So they were causing a double penalty on themselves. Not only were they stingy, they had so much money. And we see this today also. People got so much money, but they're not willing to part with it. So they become arrogant, they become boastful. They say, this is my money. I'm only going to use it for me and my family. And that is a big test on these people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not happy with them at all, because they themselves become very, very stingy. The more wealthy they become, the more miserly they become. They torment their wives, they torment their children. They say, how much have you spent? What did you do? What did you do with the money? What didn't you do with the money? And that stinginess increases and increases. And that is why we need to pause and think, what are we doing? Because that money is a test from the Creator Supreme, and we need to be generous with that money. So now the final verse of this today's session, it says, whoever turns away should know that God most merciful is all-sufficient, all-praiseworthy. God does not need your money. Allah does not need a cent from you. He does not need a penny from you. It is simply a test that are you willing to spend in His cause? Are you willing to be a good human being? Are you willing to be a kind human being? There's so much suffering around us. There's suffering in South Africa. We've got a 60 to 65% unemployment rate. Poverty in Africa, in the African continent, we've got 1.3 billion people. In South Africa, we've got 60 million people. 70 to 80% are living in poverty. 80% of Africa is in poverty. Around the world, globally, if you look at abject poverty, those who are living on less than $1 a day, 2 to 3 billion with a B people, with a B, 2 to 3 billion people around the world are living in abject poverty. Whereas only 10% of the world are super rich, super wealthy. The rest are middle class. So the test is on those who are very, very wealthy. To say, are you arrogant? Do you think that it is your brains that made you wealthy? No, it is a test from the Creator. He is testing those who don't have money. He is testing them for their patience and the sabr and the gratitude. And He's testing those who are wealthy. And the wealthy ones, unfortunately, many of them become arrogant. But To be fair, there are many, many wealthy people who are very, very generous. They have a philanthropic spirit. They say, you know what, other people, I don't like to see other people suffering. And they are so generous in their suffering. They are generous with their time. They are generous with their money. They are generous with their health. They are generous with their physical body. If anyone needs help, immediately on the turn, they are there to help or to say, you know what, I am here. I am the anchor that's going to help you. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God most merciful, reward them abundantly, for they know what they are doing. The Creator Spirit know what they are doing. And the Malaika, the Kiram and Katibin are recording everything. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us towards those actions and deeds that are righteous, acceptable, and pleasing to Him. Stay well, look after yourself. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.